All right, I know what you're thinking. If you're tuning into this episode, you must have lighting is a hit or miss kind of category. Those of you who have found success have really found success. You are the go-to store in your region for all things lighting for municipality, customers, you name it. And then there's the other bunch, which, well, let's be honest, you're not alone. You found not so much success, you've been frustrated, and just couldn't figure out how to make the whole lighting thing work for your store. Well, guess what? Stinger has brought a new proposition to the table, and that is HEXCORE lighting. It's a brand new series of lighting that they're presenting with a new outlook, new features, new packaging, and maybe, just maybe, might be the right solution to get you onto that lighting path. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Stinger's new HEXCORE lighting. And it starts now. And welcome back to the show. Joining me now is our resident specialist for all things Stinger, Mr. Matthew Palumbo. Matt, thanks for being on Connected once again. Good to see you.
Of course. Thanks, Ben. Good to see you.
So you and I were connected back in spring. You know, we're at CMA and you're talking to me about this new and improved lighting offering coming from Stinger. Now, straight up, Stinger's never done lighting bad. Stinger's always had some pretty cool stuff going on with their lighting products, especially when it came to the, you know, the tracing LEDs and all that type of thing. And then you and I had a conversation about how lighting hasn't been a success story for all dealers out there in our 12-volt industry. You know, like I mentioned in the intro, there are dealers that do an amazing job with it and have found incredible success integrating it into their installations, dealing with municipal fleet contracts and so on and so forth. And then there's other ones that literally have told me, Ben, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. It is a crap show race, basically. So let's dive in to talk about what Stinger is bringing to the table with this new HEXCORE line of products, right? This is a new series, got a new logo. It's all shiny. There is purpose behind the redesign. And I want to get that message out to dealers. So let's start with the beginning. The first obvious question, and I know you guys at home are like, Ben, just ask the obvious question. I'm doing this. This is what I'm going to do. Matthew Palumbo, is HEXCORE just another rebrand of the recently acquired RaceSport brand of lighting? Go.
It is definitely not a rebrand of RaceSport. So what we did is, you know, like you said, Stinger has always made some lighting products. We had strip lights and whips and rock lights under the Stinger name. And then we acquired RaceSport, and RaceSport had light bars and off-road lights and all these different things. Unfortunately, though, you know, we kind of realized along the way that it's too much. There's too much going on under the RaceSport name. It's conflicting to have similar products from, you know, Stinger and RaceSport that both kind of do the same thing. And what we really have done now is kind of said, okay, it's all going to be under HEXCORE. HEXCORE is the lighting brand. We have done away with RaceSport altogether. We've done away with just Stinger and lighting altogether. It will all be under HEXCORE. So it is a totally new family of products, totally new products in that family, and basically everything's all new, redesigned. Like you said, it's all shiny and new.
Okay, so if you're listening, you're tuning in, forget about Stinger lighting, forget about RaceSport lighting. Moving forward, as of today, HEXCORE lighting is the brand for lighting solutions. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit more. From a menu perspective, right? I'm a dealer, I'm looking at your products. How do you break out the HEXCORE lighting so that dealers understand the type of lighting? Because lighting could be a lot of different things, right? It could be light bulbs, could be light bars. Break it down for us. How has HEXCORE kind of devised its menu?
Yeah, so we've really thought of lighting as three main categories. You have your basically, you know, personalized category, which is going to be LED strips, whips, rock lights, interior ambient lighting kits, that sort of thing. You have your improved category, which is going to be just improving upon existing lighting. That's going to be replacement headlight bulbs. And in that category, we have greatly simplified things, which we can dive more into later. And then we have the add category, which is really what we're focusing on right now and what we've brought a whole lot of new products out recently in this category. And this is the kind of bulk of the HEXCORE family. This is going to be light bars, pod lights, chase lights, vehicle-specific lighting, things like that.
Okay, so a lot to go over here. We're going to do our best job to kind of break it down into information you all can digest. You said some key words, they're almost trigger words for me, and I'm going to kind of dive into that because my next question what I want to get out of this conversation, Matthew, is I want to extract what makes HEXCORE different. Like, this is not just a rebrand. It's not just about doing away with old branding. You guys have really put some thought into how you're going to present the product, but also present some interesting features that I have not yet seen, not to this scale. So let's dive into that a little bit. The keyword you mentioned before, or trigger word, was application specific. So let's dive into that. When you say application specific, when it comes to lighting, what are you talking about? Like a whip that fits a Jeep or a certain side-by-side? What are we talking about here?
Sure. So what we mean when we say application specific or vehicle specific is not what most mean. For most companies, that means here's a universal light bar. We've kind of sort of verified that it fits on a vehicle. Here's a couple of brackets, right? That's what most companies would call vehicle specific. For us, what this means is it is everything you need for the install, and everything has been done for you to make it as easy as possible. So let's say you want a light bar or a set of pod lights, for example, for your Ford truck or your Ford Bronco or what have you. So it's going to include the pod lights that you've chosen the size of, the brackets that mount them perfectly to your vehicle, no cutting, none of that, no drilling, just
Factory
bolts
bolt
right
location.
up. Factory bolt locations, yep. And then it's going to include a wire harness that is pre-cut and terminated for your vehicle. So it's cut to the right lengths, everything's already terminated for you, and all of those connections are going to go into a solid state relay box that kind of brings everything together. And from that is a power and ground connection. That's it. You can take those straight to the battery, and we know where the battery is in that vehicle, so they are the correct length and everything is done exactly as it should be. From there, you've got a simple universal controller that goes on the dash. This is going to be your control panel. Turn it on, turn it off, high beam, low beam, all that sort of thing. And literally, you're not crimping or soldering anything. You're just loosening the battery terminals, adding a power and ground loop to each, and that's about it.
Okay, so we're going to dive into some uncharted territory here. Amazon, other online merchants, when you type in your truck, they're going to show you all different kinds of options, especially in lighting, right? And they say, oh, this is going to fit your vehicle. The truth of the matter, this is a two-sided tale we're about to dive into. Number one, customers, end users, buy these, kits. DIYers, right? They're going to try to put it in. Oh man, do they get into some trouble some fast? Like quickly realizing that this is not a direct fit kit. They don't have all the accessories that they need. They're going to have to add things, buy things, so on and so forth. That's one scenario. The other scenario is dealers, trying to get into the lighting situation, having a really good customer in front of them. They dish the sound system on their Bronco, like you said. And, who doesn't want extra lights on their Bronco? Of course they do.
Yeah.
And then they run into a wall because they realize that they can't deliver what the customer is looking for, not at the budget or the performance expectation that the customer is looking for. So let's pretend now that we now understand HEXCORE's lighting philosophy with an application-specific kit. I have the kit in front of me. I like this because not only do I have nothing to think about or add or modify or drill, I can now properly quote the customer on the time it takes to install said product. Beyond that, though, let's take that one level deeper. In talking to you about this product, you've thought about things from a customizing standpoint. This is why I really want to dive into it. We're talking to dealers. These are 12-volt specialists. They work on cars in and out. Some of them really high levels of fabrication, and some, just getting into it. That's great. What kind of possibilities do we have here when it comes to lighting control now with, let's say, one of these application-specific kits?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think really sets HEXCORE apart is, the lights themselves are not the same as anybody else's. They are designed by us. They are our own product. The aesthetics are unique. I mean, there's lots of things that go into these kits that are different than what everyone else is offering. They really punch above their weight class like a lot of the Stinger products do. But from a control standpoint, I think it's the most unique portion. And that is, yes, like I mentioned, they all include this little universal controller. You can put it on the dash. It can go horizontal. It can go vertical. The wire can come out of the left or the right. Very simple, right? This gives you full control on and off, high and low beam, amber or white DRL. You have all that from this very small control panel.
That's included in the box.
That's included in the box, right? Plugs right in. Don't have to wire it. It just plugs in with a connector. Now, on top of that, though, let's say you don't want to control it from there and you'd rather control it from your Bronco's factory aux switches, because
Mhm.
most Broncos have those little switches in the overhead console. So we also include a pigtail harness where you disconnect the control panel, plug in this little harness instead, and you wire it to those, they're called upfitter switches. You wire it to those instead, and now you have control from those factory switches. Take it a step further.
Oh,
maybe
there's a
you've
third
got
step.
something else. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you've got a Horizon head unit in your vehicle,
Oh, I
and
see
you
where
want to
you're
use
going.
the accessory outputs to control it. You could control it from there instead.
So
Or
hold on. Before you go,
yeah,
I can't believe you're telling me a fourth one, but
yeah, there's
so
more.
So from my Stinger source unit, after I set up my DSP through the built-in audio control DSP software that's on the screen, I can then flip to my lighting control and control my lights from there too?
Yeah, multiple light control, really, because you have the RGB light control that's built in, which could control interior ambient lighting and rock lights, anything that changes colors. And then you have the accessory controller, which could control your, HEXCORE Hero Bar or pods or what have you.
Guys, if you're a geek like me, and I know you are, this is super geeky and awesome for customizing a very unique experience for your customer through one interface. I mean, I don't know if it gets any slicker than that. Now, sorry to cut you off. I heard you were going on to a fourth option. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's a couple other methods there. And one is, you could also control this from a existing control method. So let's say you already have some off-road lights, but you're adding a new Hex Core light product. And you're like, hey, I have one of these, 8-gang switch output, existing controllers, and I want to use that. That's fine too. We have that same harness that's included that would allow you to use the upfitter switches. You could also use that to control it from aftermarket. Same connector.
Right. Yep. Well, that's a lot of options, Matt. I mean, that is definitely above and beyond. We're trying to identify the differences, right, between what HEXCORE is presenting versus some of the other options out in the market. Brackets, cut-to-length wiring, all the wiring that you need. I mean, basically, it's a T-harness for lights is what you're providing with the kit. And also auxiliary options, and those pigtails are also included in the kit.
Yep.
Hardware, screws, bolts to mount, I imagine, are also all in the kit. Okay.
Yep.
Point made. What about the actual lights themselves? What can you tell me that makes, whether it's an aesthetic, a DRL, what I noticed that they, looking at these products, there's a little signature look to them. So why don't you talk us through that?
Yeah, there is. And that's one of the things that really separates these from, like, say, the Race Sport lights of the past is Race Sport was a great company, don't get me wrong, but let's be honest, a lot of those lights were very similar to other lights out in the market. These are our own design. So these are our housing, proprietary design. You won't find another brand that has these exact same lights. And basically the idea is there is a signature style to them. They all have a DRL function of some kind, whether that's a halo ring or a strip at the bottom, if it's a light bar, for example. And those halos, those DRLs all do an amber white, what I call switchback functionality. So you could have, say, white just when the vehicle is on. As soon as it sees ignition, we have them light up white, but then maybe they go to amber when you turn on the headlights or parking lights. If it's a set of pod lights or our Hero Bar, you could even wire those in for turn signal functionality. So you've got our Hero Bar, which has 8 6-inch pods across your roof line. 4 of those would flash amber when that turn signal's on, 4 would flash with the other. Some really cool things you can do with that. And then on top of that, part of the kind of unique portion of HEXCORE is just the style that they're made, the build quality, etc., in that we aren't using just off-the-shelf bracketry and parts. We're using all brackets that are made in the US. We're using solid stainless steel tubes on our Hero Bar. Everything's powder coated right there in the US, most of which is done right there in Florida by our headquarters. So we aren't just saying that these fit a vehicle. These are verified fitment in a vehicle. And that's why right here in the US, and that's why we don't come to market at launch and say, oh, we support 500 vehicles. We've started out by saying, hey, we have kits for about 70 vehicles right now. We're constantly adding more. And that's because we won't add it to that list unless we've verified that it actually fits.
Guys, we're tuned here. We're talking connected. We got Matt Palumbo talking HEXCORE lighting from Stinger. It's a new lineup of lighting you guys should check out. We're going to take a quick break, Matt. When we come back, I got more integration questions for you. And then we're going to dive into a little bit about the offering as far as products and the business side of how HEXCORE can really help your business. We'll be right back.
Hey, Paul with SiriusXM here. And with 3 easy steps, you can maximize your business. Number one, make sure you have the current promotional material up. Understand the offer? Make sure your team knows it. 2, have a unit on display. Set the presets to different genres so you can recommend and play the music that your customer listens to. And number 3, think about this. Most vehicles you're replacing the head unit with already has a SiriusXM tuner in it. So adding it just requires an antenna adapter, a SiriusXM tuner. It's a 30-second install and you're done. So there it is, guys. 3 easy steps to maximize every sale this season with SiriusXM.
All right before the break, Matt and I were talking about some of the cool, unique features that Hex Core, this new series of lighting that Stinger has presented and brought into the market. I want to go a little bit deeper. We talked about different connectivity options, even to the source unit, which is super cool. There is something that you had mentioned in a previous conversation that I want to dig into a little bit more, because for me, this might be the first time I've heard this in the lighting circles. Lighting circles, that's funny. You mentioned that there is some type of connectivity when it comes to application-specific kits that connects to the CAN bus of the vehicle. What is that all about?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the most unique features of Hex Core, especially like you said, this is built into the vehicle-specific kits. It's actually built into the solid-state relay module that's included. It's already built into them now. But what this is a future feature that we're planning to unlock hopefully later this year, right around SEMA. And the idea is that we're going to be able to tie this into the CAN bus in the vehicle with the T harness, maybe OBD2 port or another harness in the vehicle. And what this will allow us to do is do some very simple programming with a kind of, I describe it as if this, then that language, right? So if the vehicle's over 50 miles an hour and the automatic headlights are engaged, I want you to fire up my pod lights. If I double tap my high beams, I want to turn on my 50-inch light bar. If I turn the steering wheel past a certain degrees below 20 miles an hour, I want you to engage this pod light. Things like that.
Or ditch light.
Ditch light, pod light, fog light, whatever you've got wired up, right? And you could even do things like only engage that pod light with the steering angle when four-wheel drive is engaged. So it becomes like a rock crawling light or wheeling light, whatever. You could also set it up with certain speeds or what have you. So it could be more of a lane changing light or whatever. It really opens up a whole new world with integration as far as we're not reliant on, can we go tap into a wire? We are reading data from a vehicle, and really, this is where a lot of that history of Stinger and
I was
Pack
just going
and
to
all
say
of
this.
that
This
comes
is
into
all
play.
starting to make a lot of sense here, because let's remind you, folks, Stinger also means pack, and what does pack do? Pack likes to integrate. So the idea of integrating into CAN bus for lighting operation makes a whole lot of sense and is almost, I might call it, a game changer. I'm going to say it for now. It hasn't done yet. You said it's coming to SEMA. We'll revisit this, Matt, because I'd like to see this in action and see it actually work.
And I have seen it work, and it is incredibly impressive. A lot of this comes into light as well because the team of folks at Stinger that developed this whole Hex Core line are avid off-road enthusiasts. These are all guys that own Jeeps, they own side-by-sides, they own off-road vehicles. And it's a point that I want to bring up too when we talk about vehicle specific. We aren't just talking about cars, trucks, SUVs. We're also talking about side-by-sides. So we have light kits that are specific to Polaris
carts,
and all of these things. So
all of these things. Okay, so on that note, let's take a quick second to talk about just to give people a taste of what kind of offering we're talking about. Like what type of categories, what type of products are we talking about here?
Sure. So with this main, ad category in the HEXCORE family, we are talking about our Hero Bar, which is made up of 8 6-inch pods that is currently available for select Jeeps and the late model Broncos, with more applications to come soon. Now, again, we will only offer that one in vehicle specific because it's big, it's heavy, and if it's not mounted properly, it could be a problem, right? So we want to make sure we only offer that to vehicles that it will fit and work well on. And then we also offer light bars in curved, which are available in 2 sizes, as well as straight bars, which are available from 10-inch up to 50-inch sizes.
Kind of like the standard light bar, right?
Exactly. They're a little different, though, because the reflector technology on them is different. The LEDs don't fire forward. They actually fire down on the straight bars. And then the reflector is like a J shape, kind of. So the light's actually funneled down and out. gives this really crisp cutoff line, really smooth. It's very similar to the light bars that you'll see come from the factory on like the new Tundras and TRD Tacomas.
Very OEM style.
Yeah, because they have that sharp cutoff line, so you can get away with running them sometimes on the road, depending on how they're aimed. And then we also have a full line of pods, 2-inch, 2x4 oval, and then 4-inch and 6-inch pods as well. Round. Yep. And then we also have our chase light, which is made for the back of the vehicle. And this just shows kind of what's going on with the car or with the vehicle as far as turn signals, brake lights, running lights, reverse, as well as a strobe or hazard function. This just provides visibility for those behind you on the trail. Make sure they know who they're following is what they're doing.
Hence
so
the
on and so
term
forth.
chase light. That's
exactly. You
now,
got it.
I got a good one for you.
Yeah.
Happen to be a little bit of an off-roader myself. I got my truck going on.
Mm-hmm.
One of my pet peeves on lights, well, there's two pet peeves. Number one is the line. I mean, they're all over the place. Sometimes angling it right, it's just horrible. And you're right, the back bracketry sometimes is another crapshoot.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of the wind noise some of these light bars generate? It's bad. Like some of them,
it's really bad.
I got a buddy with one on, and it's like so loud, it's unbearable. So what is causing this? Is like what is the deal here?
Yeah, so I mean, just quick story there. When I was in retail, actually had a customer bring us a kit he bought elsewhere. We installed it for him on his Ram truck, and this kit required drilling holes in the A-pillar to mount this 50-inch curved light bar. He ended up having us take it off because the noise was so horrendous, and now there's holes in your truck, obviously, right? Anyway, so what that's caused by is the little fins, the heat sink fins on the back of a light bar. Almost every light bar has these little fins on the back, horizontal. Not all, because the HEXCORE lights don't. So we use a finless design, and the reason we do that is to eliminate that noise. You don't get horrible road noise, whistling, howling noise from like you get from most light bars.
So the reason there's that noise is the design of I guess it's an aerodynamic thing. I'm not no engineer, but what you've just explained, and what you're saying is the HEXCORE ones don't have that. So how do you dissipate heat without fins?
Yeah, so it's just a unique heat sink design where the whole back of the housing is the heat sink itself, and they dissipate heat really, really well. Not only that, they have built-in thermal protection. So if they ever do get so hot that they have issues, they don't ever shut off. None of the HEXCORE lights will shut down because of thermal. They will just reduce brightness just long enough to dissipate the heat, and then they'll go back to full brightness. Most users will never even notice.
Fair enough. Another engineering kind of default setting that really makes sense. Okay.
So you're never stuck on the trail without light.
Right, because sometimes you're on the trail in the dark and there ain't no light around.
Yeah, that could be rough.
That could be rough. Real quick second, one of the pain points for a lot of dealers when they got into lighting was replacement LED light bulbs.
Yeah.
I mean, here on CMA, we talk to all the big brands, right? And everybody recognizes this as a pain point. So let me throw you the question. How has Stinger addressed that as far as the offering under HEXCORE with replacement LED light bulbs?
Yeah, so we saw it firsthand when we acquired Race Sport. Race Sport had a whole lot of offerings in the replacement headlight space. HIDs, LEDs, even in the LED space, they had. I think
there were 7 lineups.
There was a lot. It was so many that I had a hard time keeping them straight, and I'm the trainer, right? And so what we've done with HEXCORE is just greatly simplified that by going down to just 3. We have bright, brighter, brightest.
Good,
S1,
better, best.
S5, S9. That's it, right? And so this makes it really, really simple, and it gives your customers a little more limited choice. And we all know when you present customers with too many choices, they just don't make a choice at all, right? They just get overwhelmed and they don't buy anything. So you want to just give them those couple of options. And, it makes it simple too when we're working with vehicles that have a separate high beam, separate low beam, separate fog light. It might not make sense to run S9s in all 3 of those locations. Right. Maybe we want S9 high beams, S5 low beams, and S1 low fog lights or something like that. So it just opens things up. Obviously, there's different price points for each of those different lines of lights too, but it greatly simplifies what's needed as far as inventory and trying to keep track of everything.
Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about some of the unique features that HEXCORE is bringing to market. You've given us a glimpse as to where this might go as far as that CAN bus integration. We've spoken about application specific and what that means to Stinger and HEXCORE. I guess the last question I have for you is, we're addressing dealers that, let's talk about the ones that haven't found success in lighting yet, or even maybe the ones that already are doing really well in lighting. How do you feel HEXCORE is going to help them get more confidence and more success in the lighting category?
Yeah, I think the way we've set up HEXCORE for our partners is very different than what most do in a number of different ways. One, these are all serialized products. Everything is map protected. Everything has the serial number laser etched into the product itself. So there is no, the sticker peeled off in my humid climate that I live in or what have you.
Solid traceability.
Exactly. Solid traceability. We also have a field destroy program on these lights. So you're never sending back this light bar for warranty if it should ever need warranty. They have a solid warranty out of the box, but extended warranty options if they just go onto the website and register the product. That's all they've got to do. And then on top of that, these are also, like I said, map protected. But, the thing that comes up with a lot of dealers is, well, am I going to find this online?
Right. Okay. I was going to ask you that.
Big question, right? Yes, you will. You will find them on Amazon. However, only sold by Stinger. And the reason we do that is there are consumers out there who just don't go into shops, right? They are not near
They're
one.
DIYers.
They're DIYers, right?
Yeah.
They either don't live near a shop, they don't trust a shop, whatever the case may be, but they're going to buy it online. And so if they're going to buy it online, we want to make sure that they're buying it from us directly and they're not getting it from some third party that's been stepped on 3 times and all these things. So this allows us to directly control map pricing and make sure that everything is at or above map no matter what. And the only way for us to really, truly have control over that is to be the only seller. And so that's what we've done.
Well, if I was to summarize today's conversation, I think that there's a lot of promise here. There's a lot of excitement, especially if you're a dealer that's kind of been waiting on the sidelines for the right solution to come along. I think Stinger has really done a good job addressing some of the concerns and the pain points that we discussed from past experiences. I really want to emphasize the thought process behind some of these I think vehicle specific is kind of like really trick. A lot of our dealers have those good customers that they trust them with the vehicle, right? They come in, they put in the sound system. Obviously they want some lighting. Who doesn't want some cool lighting, right? I mean, that's just a natural progression. Well, now you can take advantage of that by providing that customer with not only the right solution that fits their vehicle, but also a smooth installation, support, integration, customization options, and some pretty trick features I have not seen yet from other lighting companies. So congrats to you and Stinger on that. Listen, thank you, Matt, for coming in, talking to us about HEXCORE lighting from Stinger. If you guys have any questions, you want some more information, head over to StingerDrive.com. That is the website, new website. You can still go to the old ones, according to Matt, but Stinger Drive is where they want you to go. Check it out. That's it from us here at CMA. This has been CMA Connected, of course, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.